Thank you very much, comrades, and thank you for giving me a couple of minutes to say something. I can't speak on behalf of Mark Sawatko because I don't know what he was going to say, but I've got a fairly good idea what he would have said, and I think he's one of the finest General Secretaries we've got in the trade union movement today. Cherish and value him in the same way, and I'll just say this briefly because I can't not say it, that this has been the most awful, difficult week that I can remember for years and years and years. To lose Bob Crow and Tony Benn in the space of 3 days is something that's quite appalling to even contemplate and think about. And in Bob we had a great leader, we had a razor-sharp diamond mind, we had somebody that was leading a union that was growing by recruiting members and by its actions. It wasn't growing through merger mania, it was growing because it meant something to railway workers all over the country. And I have many memories of Bob, but I always admired his breadth of vision when he stood up for the maritime workers and the way in which they're so brutally discriminated against. Minimum wage and race relations legislation doesn't apply to many maritime workers around the coasts, and also the way he stood up and recruited contract cleaners who were in disgraceful working conditions all over the railway system and indeed the underground. So well done, Bob, for that breadth of vision to expand the union. Tony Benn was a very close and very dear friend of mine. I first met Tony in 1969 and worked with him on dozens, hundreds of campaigns, meetings, rallies, marches, demonstrations, cups of tea, etc., etc. Throughout, well, more than 2/3 of my life, Tony has been a major feature of it. And I could give you lots of stories, we all could, I'm sure. It's a terrible loss. But I'll just give you this slight anecdote. It is very short, I promise you, Chair. Of what Tony was like when he was Secretary of State for Industry in the 1970s. This was a time of high hopes. We'd defeated the industrial relations legislation, we had the Pentagon 5 campaigns and all that kind of thing going on, and we got a Labour government in 1974. Tony became Secretary of State for Industry. I then worked with Tony Banks and many others in the engineering union. In the research department. I was there for a couple of years. And Tony called us up and said, I need help. I need help with research and how we're going to restructure British industry. And we said, well, you've got a huge department, you've got civil servants, they can all do that for you. He said, no, I need people I can trust who can give me information and give me a vision. And the nationalisation took place at British Leyland, massive car vehicle conglomeration. Tony's vision was that there should be industrial democracy in a state-owned company, not traditional nationalisation, industrial democracy. And he invited all of the unions to get together, set up a working party, which we did, and we proposed a whole programme of industrial democracy in British Leyland, which was then endorsed by a mass shop stewards meeting at the Digbeth Institute in Birmingham. That was a Secretary of State working with those that made the cars, that made the vehicles, that had a vision of how things could be. That was what Tony Benn was really about, bringing democracy and empowering the powerless. And that's what I always remember Tony for, his vision, his inspiration, and the way in which he brought together the peace movement, the women's movement, the gay rights movement, and so many other movements with that vision that united, there's nothing we can't achieve. So I think we all have a lesson to learn from Tony. And the resolutions we have today cover all of that. They cover the National Health Service. They cover the issues of the disgraceful treatment of migrant workers within our society. They cover the issue of privatisation. This austerity that is being imposed upon us is no different to the austerity being imposed on Greece or Italy or Spain or Portugal by the European Central Bank. It's no different to the privatisation and austerity measures that the World Bank imposed on Latin American economies in the past until the Bolivarian revolution in Venezuela turned the tables on the process in Latin America. So we have to look at this in both the international, the national and the local context, because national identity alone will not solve the problem. We have to recognise that the massive power of global capital to make and break and destroy workers' lives all around the world. So garment workers in Bangladesh standing up for their rights, for their health and safety and their security are not our rivals, not our competitors, they're our allies in the fight to bring about justice around the world. So, the People's Assemblies against austerity bring together lots of us. We all come from different backgrounds, different traditions, and have different things to do. But we're united in one thing. We're united in wanting to destroy an agenda that will ruin our National Health Service, that will take away the principles of real security, i.e. social security within our society, and put the resources into building houses, building schools, providing the infrastructure we need. Not wars, not weapons of wars, not mass destruction, but solidarity with peoples around the world for peace and social justice. Thank you very much indeed.